3 new allied races, playable soon. Actual evidence. This is actual evidence from the truth teller Doran. I don't know, he usually doesn't back things up with actual evidence, but let's see. Could there be some truth to this?
There are a ton of races that could very easily be implemented in WoW with a ton of support in existing lore, such as the Ogres or the Tuskar. However, now we have legit 3 races that could actually be realistically added soon with actual evidence. Now, keep in mind, these are not huge races like the Naga or the Ogres, like whole expansion feature
allied
races that
never
will be
are
announced
huge
on
races.
BlizzCon and will promote the expansion, but modifications of the existing ones that kind of branch off from them that are very obviously being set up to be playable in the near future, much like how they recently added the Manari as customization options, something that can be added throughout the expansion in mini patches and side stories. So what are these potential new races and what is this actual evidence that we have? If you want to get Dragonflight or anything else Warcraft related, Gamil,
I don't know if Tuskar would be an allied race. They're
check
too
out
cool.
with my link below. Best of all, you can get software, gift cards, a bunch of games at below market prices.
I think they'd be like a full-blown
You can also use my
new
code
race.
Doran to get yet another discount, so make sure to check out my link below and grab some amazing deals at Gamivo. So, generally, I have talked about a bunch of races over the years that could potentially work because we really have so many of them in the Warcraft universe that Blizzard could really introduce tomorrow, and there would be absolutely no inconsistencies, such as the Ogres or the Forest Trolls, even the Jinyu and the Hosen, as all of these are actually already part of the factions. However, now with some of the quite recent developments, we have a few races that are actually likely to be added soon, and there is definitely a bit of evidence that we could be getting them, like some things that are being set up. The main difference though is that, as I said, I don't think these
I just hope we don't get any more furry races. I think we have hit furry capacity. Okay, we already got we got large furry characters in Worgen. We got tiny furry characters in Volpera. Now we got the scaly boy characters in the Drakthir. I mean, I think we've had enough. Okay, we don't need this game to get any more furry friendly.
Going to be like the big new expansion races that will be announced on BlizzCon, but instead they're probably going to be added throughout the mini patches as sort of like allied races, like race customizations, and therefore we'll probably be just getting them on the fly. And at the moment we got 3 very likely races. One of these could even be added in Dragonflight itself and potentially something like 10.2.5. So to start off with the Broken, they are like the Alliance Ogres, but even more justified to be playable. I mean, there is literally nothing stopping the Broken from being playable in World of Warcraft, not a single thing.
They could be an allied race.
These are the actual Draenei that we know back from Warcraft 3. Like the current Draenei that we're playing are just a World of Warcraft thing. So the Broken are one of the oldest established races that Blizzard created, along with the Orcs, humans, Night Elves, and a few others back from Warcraft 3. To start off immediately with the evidence that we have, like, I'm not saying this was 100% data mined, but there are some hints. We got a newer Manari questline that we got.
The Broken, would anyone want to play as a Broken? They literally look like withered Draenei. Like, is there anything cool to the Broken? I don't. They're not. It's not appealing to me.
Back where for the first time ever, we're actually able to play with real demons, aside from the demon hunters, which I gotta say I do find a little bit ridiculous on how that turned out. I mean, we're playing the evil Draenei after like 5 minutes of a questline conversation, while they have been trying to destroy the Draenei for the longest time. However, we cannot play the first time Draenei, which are literally more Draenei than the Draenei themselves, as some of them have literally given everything to defend their culture. Now, if you guys looked at the new questline, the Broken are essentially invited in by Velen to join the Alliance, and it is sort of like an open offer that they're yet to accept. They didn't exactly decline it. However, the Broken are already sort of a part of the Alliance, and we have 2 completely different types of Broken, despite the fact that they're actually the same race, just devolved versions of the Draenei. The first ones are led by Akama. They're back on Outland, as far as we know, trying to restore something, but seeing that the planet is very obviously dying, I think it is about time they come to Azeroth, and I'll talk about it in a second.
Well, there's technically now like 3 Draenei. There are 2, but there's kind of 3 now, because you have the Eridar, the regular Draenei, and the Lightforged Draenei. So I do agree with what you're saying there. Like, do we really need another
We
Draenei
already have some
variation?
hints of a bunch of
Probably
Outland
not.
races moving to Azeroth, which is yet another bit of evidence. However, we already have the
Yeah, there
Broken
are
in
4
Exodus. They're a
elves,
part of the Alliance,
but
you can
people love
see them.
elves.
The other Broken that we know from Legion are the Resistance movement that Velen had just invited that remained on Argus, but they're essentially the same thing. My guess is, since
Catgirls are
crazy
furry
things
elves.
with Titans will obviously be happening soon, potentially Sargeras returning, maybe even Legion reactivating, they might have to group up with Velen eventually, which will prompt them being playable. It seems like Blizzard is
I
setting
do think there could be a play with Sire Denathrius reactivating the Legion, because the Legion's still out there. They're just like a leaderless army at this point. And Sire Denathrius has been playing off that stuff. There has been rumors out there that he's going to become the new leader of the Legion. That would be cool. And then whether or not the Eridar and all these other guys would join because of that, who knows?
up the ground for them. The only reason they haven't been added is literally, I mean, let's just
This
be
was a
real.
great
They're a bit
cinematic,
more work
man.
since it's
Black
not the
Temple,
same
so
model.
good.
The whole reason they really added the Manari instead of the Broken is because they're just red Draenei with a few more customization options, so just a reskin. But the Broken look a little bit different, so it would definitely be more work. They should have just told the Broken Chieftain, like, we would love to have you, but we gotta allocate a few more resources before we can build this and make this
guy's
stable.
extra
However,
broken.
Blizzard has actually already kind of expanded customizations, creating a precedent from what it was in the past, from how basic it was in the past. For example, you got the multiple body types for the Draktyr, where you can like scale how wide
Still
the
needs to be
Draktyr
beefier.
is. So they could literally do the same thing for the Broken, just like a different body.
I still think Blizzard really wanted the Draktyr to be femboys, because we needed the big bulky one. Why did we never get that? I would have actually thought it was cool to make a Draktyr if they ever gave us that, but for some reason, this is as big as you can make them, which is still very, like, not big. It's just, I don't know, they don't lift enough. It's very femboy. What are you going to do?
Draktyr is, so they could literally
got an
do the
audience they
same
wanna
thing for
appeal
the
to, I
Broken,
guess.
just like a different body type, but they could look very similar. Now, other than the Broken, we have the ever interesting dwarves that everyone has been talking about for the past few weeks. Now, I have actually covered this in the past. This has been a setup that has gone under the radar that
I could
no
see
one
another
has really
dwarf
been talking
race.
about, that we got right around the start of Dragonflight with this new Northrend book. Now, you may remember how we essentially got a Northrend update to the current day, like what happened after the Jailer to Northrend, and we know that the dwarves had gotten into significant contact with the Frostborn, also known as the Frost Dwarves, also known as a different colored dwarf that could very easily become playable. Essentially, these guys had saved Nuradin, they're in really good relations with the playable dwarves, and they are de facto Alliance race, they're technically almost a part of it. Why they are even more relevant than ever in the past is the entire Khazlagar storyline that has been data mined, that is coming in 11.0, and this is yet another new dwarven race that could potentially be playable. We essentially, at this point, know
I don't know if we ever got like ice dwarves or something. Khazalgar, like the stone dwarves don't make sense because the curse of flesh is still happening even now. So you could be a stone dwarf then become a regular dwarf. That doesn't make any sense. But the snow or ice dwarves he was just showing, those would probably just be like a customization option, not like a full allied race. Because I mean, we have high elf customization options. If they were gonna create an allied race for one of these, high elves would have surely been one, but instead we just got, oh, you can make your elf have blue eyes and tattoos. There you go, high elves. I think this would have been the same thing.
Know nothing about them, but we know from the document that they're dwarves, so it seems like the dwarves as a race will be a pretty big storyline in the new expansion. Like, they will expand on the actual dwarven heritage, which could not only combine these frost dwarves that were already set up, but also this new mysterious race that we
red-skinned
might
night
even
elves,
with,
true,
so
that's
we
another
might
one.
even be getting two things for
Druids
the
of the
dwarves.
Flame.
From the practical side, as I said, super easy to implement. I mean, they could essentially just be a customization option, or if
That's
they
what
want
they
to
would
make them a
probably
little
be.
bit different, they could just be a customization options for the new Khazalgar dwarven race, if they become playable, of course, if. But keep an eye out for the dwarves, it really seems like something is definitely being set up for them. Next down the line, we have the Orcs, which is yet another race with quite a big setup. So all of this comes from the Orc Heritage questline, where Thrall had essentially decided to invite everyone
Maybe more orc stuff. Thrall is on the cover of the BlizzCon cover art, so maybe more orc
the new
shit.
Kosh-Ark Festival, which is this ancient orcish tradition, and we got a ton of races you would not expect to see, such as the Warlocks and the Mach Natal, that everyone was surprised to see. Long story short, a lot of this seems like a setup to unite the orcs as a whole, to create a new type of a horde, to create some type of a hegemony, which may
like
end up
Garrosh was trying to
resulting
do?
in new type.
Oh, wait a minute. Thrall came and he's trying to do what Garrosh did? Now, Thrall's a good... Garrosh was an asshole for trying to unite the orcs, but Thrall comes and does it, and everyone's like, what a good guy, what a champ. Garrosh did nothing wrong,
playable
guys.
races. One of these are the warlocks that have been invited that had obviously long been shunned in the orcish society. Now, they themselves are not exactly different from the regular orcs, but it could result in a more sinister looking orc variation, possibly even a fel orc, which we could see playable, despite them not exactly being nice, but
red orcs.
maybe some of the warlocks remained as fel orcs decided to join the horde. On the other hand, we got the Moknatal that seems to be the biggest setup of this entire thing. First of all, not only has Rexar been relevant recently, but we have even data mined his beasts in 10.2 despite nothing connected happening with him. But also, we had a major interaction with the Moknatal during this questline. Keep in mind, the Moknatal are not exactly
But these guys are just tan orcs with wolf heads on it, you know?
The horde, but they're friendly, sort of similar to the Frost Wars, like essentially an identical situation. In the past, they were shunned due to their ogre heritage, but seeing that Moknatal, Rexar, had essentially built Orgrimmar and the new horde, and the fact that the Moknatal just recently said that they like the horde and how it has changed from the past, it obviously seems like something is being set up. Even more interestingly, as I said, there are hints that a lot of the races are abandoning Outland as the planet is obviously dying. First of all, the black dragons that were dominant, that essentially dominated the entire zone, just left in the Dragonflight, and a bunch of these orcs and potentially even the Broken are moving back to Azeroth. This could mean that we could be seeing the Moknatal settling somewhere on Azeroth, if potentially included in this revamp that may be coming, a revamp with Rexar leading them. Now, from the practical side, I know they look a bit different as they're obviously...
I mean, you know how we just got like the Blade Master customizations, you know, that you could have, like the Blade Master transmogs? If we were going to get anything, it'd probably be something like that for these guys, you know, the wolf head transmog and shit like that. Not a full-blown like allied race or anything like that.
Ogres, not just orcs, and Rexar's model is definitely a bit different. However, the other Moknatal that you run into the game are literally just a mega variation. I mean, I could definitely see them being adding as a new body type for the mega, similar to how I said they could do the same for the Broken and the Draenei, and we could
Rexar's
be getting a bit bigger
ogre.
and wider orcs with a little bit of a different facial structure. Realistically, it could even amount to a slight change in a recolor that can be added as a part of a revamp or a new side quest line in the next expansion. Other than this, of course, we always have the potential for the long-expected, long-requested races to be added, such as the Ogres or the Naga, depending on how the storyline progresses. As I said in the past, with how much development the Tuskar had gotten in Dragonflight, I wouldn't be surprised we picked them up by the end of this expansion, like how we picked up the Mechanomes or the Valpyra back in BFA. However, these three...
Don't forget the Tuskar got a ton of new customization options. Like, if you look at their NPCs in Dragonflight compared to all Tuskar previously in the game, there are tons of new customizations, like the carvings and the tusks and everything, different mustache types, different skin color types. I mean, they even have mounts now. They have the little freaking mount, little squirrely boy. I forget what it's called. Otter, the little otter boys. But there's so much added to the game in terms of Tuskar customization. I really don't think that was just put in for their village. I think they're going to eventually be playable, and that's why all that was added in.
Allied races, customizations do seem like they could actually be added quite soon, and not just in the next expansion, but potentially even in Dragonflight itself. Thank you for watching. Check out is the new classic expansion actually coming by clicking on the screen, and check out my video on ancient Greek colonies in Spain by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.
Was there actual evidence? Yeah, not really. Okay, not really. But it was a fun video. It's always fun to speculate on races coming. If I had to like straight up guess, I would say like Tuskar are probably gonna come. Like that is gonna happen, and that's like one he didn't even talk about. The rest of them maybe just customization options or something. I don't know about full blown allied races.